Buenos dias, buenos dias, buenos dias. What it is, what it was, and what it shall be. What's going on, everybody? This is your boy, Dr. Will Rogers, a.k.a. Master Teacher 33. And today's Saturday, February the 12th of 2022. And the time is a little early show today, 12:30 Central. We're going to knock it out today. Brothers and sisters, we want to jump right in talking about same thoughts, meaning state of being, same state of being. I also want to talk a little bit about the first roundtable conference for the People Development Center. And just kind of want to put that out there so that way we can start, because we want to plant the seed during this portal that is open from February the 2nd until February the 22nd. So anything that you want to establish this year, you want to express it during this period of time, because this is the axion or the axitonal alignment. And I included a picture for the people that's a part of the People Development Center that talks about, if you want to use that term, or that expresses how the axions or the 12 primary meridian lines inside of the body connect and what limits or stop that connection. And so that's what again, I'll be mentioning it throughout today's message as we talk about how to establish a same state of being, so that way you're able to manifest, especially as a group. Because what we're going to be talking about at this roundtable discussion is how to establish a single state of being, so that way we're all on the same frequency that I call higher than heaven. So we know that when we talk about that, especially when we look at the scripture that we already discussed, it helps to establish that state of being that is what again is entitled or called higher than heaven. And that is just simply, if you could be able to do, which is one of the most important and the most difficult things to do, and that is thought awareness. So thought awareness is just this ability to be aware that, you have thoughts that establishes your feelings, and these thoughts that establish your feelings, that establish, again, your behavior. But the problem is most of the thoughts, they go below the threshold of detection. So we are having these thoughts, but we're not able to detect these thoughts. So what we want to do is, what Brother David Andrews mentioned earlier in the group. Again, the conference will definitely be free for the people that are members of the People Development Center, and then for everybody that's non-members, if they wanted to attend, there will be obviously a cost involved in order for you to attend this roundtable discussion, where everybody is somebody, meaning there isn't, one, again, I would be the facilitator, but everybody would be able to talk for whether it's 10 or 15 minutes, depending on the group. And so the reason why we want to start talking about this now, like I mentioned earlier, is you want to start to declaring and decreeing out loud during the portal, because the portal is open right now from February the 2nd until February the 22nd. So whatever you want to manifest in 2022, you must be able, I recommend that you write. First of all, let's talk about how to remove the problem before we talk about establishing the roundtable People Development Center, which allows us to be able to change our perception and establish heaven now, actually a state of being slightly above heaven. So the first thing is you have to be conscious of the thoughts that you are having that are standing in the way of what you would like to manifest. Now, what that simply means is that, we all have thoughts, and we allow those thoughts to go unchecked, meaning that you don't really, you're aware of it because you're having it, but you just ignore it. So you don't call it out. And so you allow that thought to create form. And what happens, the way that this works, this is like a cosmic staircase to creation, or it's a cosmic staircase or a vibrational down-stepping of thought formation. Now, we're going to be, again, mentioning, which I recommend that everybody do, as I mentioned earlier, that you do the same thing that I'm doing from now until February the 22nd, because this is a special frequency wave of vibration that is being released by the sun. Number one, take out a sheet of paper. You write down every thought that is standing in your way of the thing that you would like to manifest. It's very easy to find out what thoughts that are standing in your way. Simply make a goal. For example, if I want to create, which I've already talked about doing this show many times, that's why I keep saying it, because the more you say it, the more thoughts come up that tell you you can't. So when I say I'm going to generate, create, and manifest $1,000 a day, the thought comes up that says blank. Write that down. That thought that comes up, the moment that you say, the moment that I say, I am creating, money flows to me easily and effortlessly, money being $1,000 a day flows to me easily and effortlessly from all directions. And then a thought comes into my brain immediately that says, do more TikTok videos. Post those TikTok. So those are thoughts. I write those thoughts down. So I write down every thought that comes into my head that creates, because those thoughts are going to create an emotion, and those emotions are going to create a behavior. That behavior is going to create a habit. That habit is going to manifest in my speech. That habit then is going to turn into a lifestyle. That lifestyle is going to turn into a destiny. That destiny is going to manifest in my life. But I also must write down every time I say a thought like, I'm going to work out, every day. Then a thought comes into your brain that says, you don't have enough time. Write that thought down. Because what is happening is right now you're having thoughts. For example, I'm saying a thought. We're going to do a roundtable conference, and we got two locations, one in McKinney, Texas, the other in Flower Mound, Texas, which is basically Dallas. Then I'm building a new house, should be finished March, April time frame. And everybody, we can all meet at the new spot, do an open house, and also do a round table discussion. That would be our first, what Brother David Andrews mentioned earlier, free for all the members of the People Development Center. For the people that are not members, then it would be a substantial cost, because the goal is just to keep, obviously, People Development members only. So everybody's part of the People Development Center. Bam. All you got to do is just, take care of your transportation to get to, whether it be Dallas. I also am open. I think Brother David Andrews, you guys, so I don't know if you guys know, we'll have Brother David kind of share what he does for a living as well. And he's one of my, what I call high-end Caucasian brothers who's been in corporate America for a long time, similar to, like, you guys know I mentioned traveling Travis a lot, Brother Travis a lot. Same thing. And so the goal is to, whether we meet, Brother Travis is in California. Diane Coleman, I know she's in California. Whether we meet, we could meet in California. We could meet, like the Spans I mentioned, Dr. Jerome Span and Dr. Arlene Span, because I've been to Colmore Manor. I don't think they live actually, right, Dr. Span? I don't think you guys actually live in Colmore Manor. I think you just work there. But that was a nice location. It was small, but that's what we want. We don't want this big, huge, gaudy place where it can't be intimate. Now, I understand the whole COVID stuff, and we could do all of that. But, hey, you guys do what you guys do when it comes to that, to each his own. We can do the 6 feet apart thing. If everybody agrees to mask, I'm not into that stuff. But if the majority of the group says, hey, we're going to meet in person, we need to do blankety blank, bam, I ain't got no problem with it. So we're going to do what the majority, is comfortable with doing. And whether we meet at my house here in San Antonio, it'll be up and running by then, and or whether we do, so they don't actually live in Colmore Manor, but whether we do something that's closer to, like, the East Coast area, because I know, I think Sister Addie still lives in New Jersey. I remember we used to have Brother Roman. Haven't heard from Brother Roman in a while, but I know he was in the New Jersey area. But Philadelphia also, I think Sister Cheryl West If I remember correctly, I think she's in Michigan. That's all. Hey, it doesn't matter to me. I can travel. I can go anywhere. Or you guys can come this way. Or like what Brother David said, it is time. It is time for us. And Brother David does this for a living, so he's a high-end conference. And I have to have him explain what he does. So I don't want to speak on his behalf. But the point is to start thinking out loud to yourself, and then for us to start thinking out loud as a group. Because the whole point is to rematerialize, and I'm going to break this down a little bit more today, of the manifestation process that we talk about pretty much every day, because my goal is to help you manifest. Because at the end of the day, man, I mean, this is really crazy, man. There's a lot of people that are so heavenly minded that has no earthly good. I talk to people every day. I had a conference, one-on-one with a new person. And again, I don't really do one-on-ones except only with new people at a substantial cost. We're talking like close to $1,000 an hour. That's my new rate. Why? Because I know my worth and value now. So what's the point, though? Well, the point is when I talk to people, especially high-end people, which is seem to be my market now, only because I changed dimensions. What do you mean by change dimensions? Well, you change dimensions the same way. You ever go to TikTok? You go to TikTok video, and when you scroll, you notice that there's a psychology behind it, scrolling down and scrolling left and right. There's a whole research behind why when you go to TikTok video and scrolling down, scrolling up, scrolling to the right, and scrolling to the left, each platform have a different way to change dimensions because you're changing platforms. So to change your platform is to change dimensions. So everything exists. You just got to change dimensions. So in other words, we don't really become wealthy. We just get on the frequency where the wealth already exists. You don't really become healthy. You just get on the frequency by which the health already exists. So you don't really do anything. You just change perception. So that's what we're talking about today is you're just on the wrong channel. The channel that you're supposed to be on exists. Remember we talked about yesterday your vibrational address? You got a primary vibrational address. And you can move. Like right now my address is 93395 Grove Way. Well, I'm getting ready to move to our new house. And not like obviously they got to build it first. But that address is it's called Old Cage. It's kind of like Gage, but it's with a G. And I always say Cage like a C, and then instead of Gage like a G. So that's going to be interesting because I got to learn my new address. That's a physical. Well, the same way you got a physical address, you got a vibrational address, a spiritual address. And the same way you change your physical address is the same way you change your spiritual address. Y'all ain't change your address. And then when you change, you got to know it. What if I move into my new home and I don't know the address? And you say, hey, Doc, where you live at, Doc? I want to swing by. And I'm like, damn, you know what, bro? And I give you my old address. But I forgot I moved. That's what's happening right now spiritually. So right now you got the address for poverty. Or let me rephrase that. You got the address for the frequency that you're at, and you want to change it from $12 an hour to $25 an hour. Or you're at $25 an hour, that's your vibrational address. You want to change that vibrational address to $50 an hour. Whatever. Same thing when it comes to exercise. So as I talked about before, and I was mentioning, activating autophagy, and I talked about the Harvard professor, David Sinclair, who came up with all of this stuff that explains what I've been doing for a long time. And one thing I didn't talk about, and again, I did mention this to other people also, when it comes to health and fitness, and, one of the things I talk about this a lot is that fasting while full, because that creates what is called a immortal lifestyle, meaning that it stops what we call aging. It resets the body and it reverses the aging process because you are now in a state where the body is producing stem cells. But one of the most important things to continue that process is weight-bearing exercise. So not only must you get your heart rate up with frequent intense training, you must also then keep muscle because muscle burns fat. And this is a big mistake that especially our Kibelons make, and especially female our Kibelons. When I go to the gym, I talk about this all the time. When I go to the gym, for every 10 Caucasian women, I see one black woman. This has been I've been going to the gym and lifting weights since middle school. And I know very few people, one of the secrets to anti-aging, as Dr. David Sinclair at Harvard broke down, is when the body creates, or when you lift weights and you hold on to muscle while burning fat, it creates what is called an enzyme, NAD, and another enzyme called VEGF, which is called VEGF. Now, Dr. David Sinclair is the only other human that I've ever heard state the science behind the experiments that prove what I've been doing since 13. I've been on the watermelon diet since before 13. When I was a kid out there with my grandfather. I've been telling you guys this. Now, I know this without studying this. I don't need Harvard Caucasian education. I do it because I know it works. So I only do stuff that works. So the new client I was talking about was telling me all about all of this spiritual stuff. They was from this galaxy and this planet. And this is really dangerous because a lot of my Caucasian brothers and sisters are really into this. And there's nothing wrong with the Ascended Masters. And there's a great book called Between the Gates. And there's another great book called Voyagers. The Voyagers, it is the secrets and the science of Amenti. Amenti. A-M, the halls of Amenti. I don't know if you guys know about that, but that's a whole science. But a lot of the Caucasians are really into it. Like I tell you guys before, whenever I do science stuff, that's what I like because I get a lot of wealthy Caucasians. But whenever I do biblical and religious stuff, I get a lot of poor black folks. Well, you know who got the money. Yeah, the Caucasians do. Now, you should ask yourself why they got the money. Because the Caucasians read Science of Mind. They read books like The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles. I don't know no black person who's read that book other than me. Now, I'm not saying that nobody has. I have never met another black man or black woman say, hey, man, Doc, I read that book too. Without me reference it, and then you guys go get it and read it. So I read that book because I was hanging out with wealthy white people. And so wealthy white people, they don't do religion, they do science. Now, black people, remember, the wealthy white person gave the poor black person religion. We used to call them the slave masters. So the slave masters, they wasn't reading the Bible, they gave the Bible to you. They kept science, and they gave you religion. Now, you should ask yourself why. That's what we're going to be talking about at the first conference. Because right now, this is what wealthy white people do. So the wealthy white people, they understand, and again, please don't text me a comment and say, well, Doc, I'm white and I ain't wealthy. Shit, I know there's an exception to every rule, bro. You just might be from Kentucky and trailer park. Okay, that's cool. You may be from backwoods in Alabama somewhere. That's cool, too. And then please don't text me and tell me, hey, Doc, I'm a black man and I got money. Okay, that's cool. Maybe you from, you part of, you're out there, bumping elbows with Steve Harvey, and you part of, y'all seen that TikTok video of Steve Harvey? Dancing with his Bi Kappa Theta buddies? Come on, man. Black Boule. Man, this is crazy. I don't know no black man that got money that's not part of the Black Boule. Do you? Did not go to a historically black college and he ain't got a Greek brand or a tattoo on his chest like LeBron James. Do you know anyone? Personally, you. I'm talking about real money. I'm not talking about this play money. I know no one. But there is an exception to every rule. So all I did is learn I intuitively know what they know without joining their group. That's why they don't like me. They pissed off that I know what they know without having to take a vow of disinvolvement. I don't have to kill myself. I don't have to, do what the samurai do. Take a sword and freaking slit my gut so my intestines fall on the floor. I don't have to do that. I didn't bow. My knee ain't touched the ground to no Negro. So I can speak clearly and tell you what they know. What do they know? They call it the dance of life. What does that mean, though? That means that there is a vibrational downstepping that you're doing, or there is a vibrational upstepping. It's called thought formation. So these are called thought form beings or orbs. So upstepping and downstepping, as I mentioned before, occurs through you making a contract, as we've been talking about, which makes contact with a vibrational entity. This is thought vibration. So consciousness means singularity or singular point of focus. That's the science of mind. That's Think and Grow Rich. That's Skull and Crossbone. That's the Egyptian Book of the Dead. That is coming forth by day and by night. That is the lesser keys of Solomon, the greater keys of Solomon. You must create a singular point of focus. It is called creation intent or thought vibration. To create, what you got to do is establish what they call the first individual manifestation. So they call it an emission. So that means that you must have what's called a still point. A still point is an image that comes from a singular thought. See, the fact that if you're not able to have an original thought vibration that is able to be replicated within the vibration of the first thought, which leads to the second individual thought of consciousness, which brings about, again, I'm reading from one of these ancient texts that we will be breaking down in a private, roundtable discussion when we do the People Development Center, when we're sitting at a table and I can look you Negroes in the eye and you non-Negroes, and we can exchange frequency, wave, or vibration. That simply means that now we don't have to think. I can transfer my cosmic energy to you like you do when you go to church. That's the whole purpose of going to a physical building and meeting, is the transference of individual consciousness, which expands what is called the static field of the absolute vibrational agreement between the original thought of source and your thought. This creates what they call eternal life, perpetual motion, which is just another way of saying this is the framework of manifestation. So all creation began when God's source or source code steps down and we step up. And so what happens is the only way for you to step down or for you to step up is with thought, selection, and thought manifestation, which is another word for just saying singleness of mind, because everything is a cellular up regulation. You must create a life based upon love. That allows you to move up. How do you do that? When you do that as an individual, it's powerful. But when you do it as a group, you can change the world. It takes about 10 people to almost to freaking change a whole state if they have singleness of mind. That's the purpose of us having the round table meeting for the first annual People Development Center Conference, to establish and create a cosmic shift in this reality by simply activating what they call the axion or the primary meridian lines inside of the body. So whenever you have a thought, when it's duplicated, it creates an emotion. When it's duplicated again, it creates a behavior. So what we have to do is to duplicate singleness of thought. So the first step is singularity, or of a point of focus, not a point of view. See, everybody is trying to get across their point of view. I could care less about your point of view. I'm concerned with our point of focus. So you got a point of view. You believe you should wear a mask. Boo-boo, do you. Everybody got a point of view. Point of views is like booty holes. Everybody got one. And everybody thinks theirs is the best. That's why we got 1,000 religions and 1,000 Negroes willing to die for their religion. I ain't one of them. I'm interested in us having the same point of reference. I'm interested of us having the same point of direction. I'm interested in us having the same set or point of manifestation, because source code is a set or a specific point of focus. We're all focusing on that point. What is that point? Could you imagine if you got 10 people that focus on one point, what would they do? They could take over the world. Pinky, what are we doing today? We're taking over the world. How? That's what Jesus did. Jesus had 12 people, and he took over the world. Because each 12 represents the 12 tribes of Judah. Now, that's the when I broke down the power of 12 and the law of 144. We did that in the 2020 Total Awareness. We went to that whole series, and we broke down the RBG code, red, blue, green. All superheroes are either red, blue, or green. Because what that represents white, A and B. It's blood. But it's copper and iron, but it comes from crystals. So blood is dumbed down light. Somebody should write that down. But blood is dumbed down life. So blood is congealed or dead life. When you die, blood. When you become alive, you get what we call light. But light is sound. But what is sound? Well, sound is what we call Christos. Now, in certain texts, it has a different name. But there is a divine cosmic unity, which is called the point of all union. So that's the point of the People Development Center, is to start exposing you guys to some of the higher level teachings that I don't really talk about too much, but I reference them without talking about them directly. So that way you can, because your spirit already knows it, it's inside your DNA. So it's a way of activating the DNA without having a black van parked outside your house. So it's talking in circles. But what it does is it activates your biological, spiritual healing systems and healing centers. Because all of this stuff is lying dormant in your DNA. You know this stuff, but you got to be reminded of this stuff, which activates what is called the 12 tribes. As we talked about before, this controls what they call the sands of time. Now, that has nothing to do like with all this mystical stuff, like time travel and all of that stuff. But what it has to do with understanding what we call, again, ascension. So ascension is just what they call the quantum point. So my job and your job is for us to establish our quantum point of reference, a specific point of reference. But we start in this reality because we live in this reality. So what does that mean, though, in English? Well, that means that if I write down every thought that creates every emotion, that creates every speech pattern, that creates every feeling or behavioral pattern that is negative, what happens is every time it comes up, I'm aware of it now. See, what happens is there are thoughts that you're having that are embedded in the what they call the radiation layers of space-time matter. So space-time matter, it keeps you stuck. There's certain, you're having a bunch of thoughts that keep you stuck in space-time matter. And you're not calling those thoughts out. You're not putting those out and saying that's a lie. Because it's below the threshold of your detection. Because you're just driving your car and, you just feel kind of like lethargic, lazy, aloof, pissed off. And you're not stopping and pulling over your car and being conscious. Do you know when you are talking, when I'm talking, I'm channeling? What does that mean? So when you're talking, you are connecting, because remember, source code has chosen you the foolishness of preaching to bring about what is called salvation. So when you're talking, what you're doing is you're channeling the ether. It just depends on what you're talking about. And that sound, that contract that brings about the disclosure or a meeting of the mind. Remember I said the 3 requirements for you to be possessed. So the best way to bring about possession is through talking. Because we don't know what talking is. We don't understand that. When you're talking, like, I don't have what I'm saying, I don't have it written down. But it's coming into my head as I'm talking, but where's it coming from? So when you sign a contract with a frequency or wave of vibration, it has 3 requirements. Number 1, full disclosure. Number 2, meeting of the minds. My mind is meeting something's mind, and that gives what is called consent for the troll to control. So the troll leads to control. Troll means to swindle. So this is how the reptilian mind works. So all of the monks and the Buddhists, all the people at a high level, what they do, they don't do what I do. Why? They do meditative everything. So when they eat, they don't eat like we do. When we eat, we just eat. We don't think about chewing as we're chewing. When they exercise, they don't exercise like we do. They do meditative eating, breathing, talking, everything. Everything is done consciously. You do everything unconsciously. It's good when you become conscious of the fact that you are doing it unconsciously, and then you make a thought to only speak high vibrational talk unconsciously. So I don't write it down, and I do not choose. Before I talk, I'm not aware of what words I want to say before I say them so that I don't offend anybody. I don't do that. Now, people at a higher level do. So when you go into politics, you just can't get up and fly off the cuff like I do. Because you may say something to piss off the LGBT community, or you may say you may say something to piss off the Black Panther Party. You may say something to piss off the Aryan Brotherhood of the White Snake. You're going to say something to piss off some group and some demographic. So therefore, you got to have a speechwriter who writes the shit down in advance, who consciously thinks before he speaks, so that way he controls his speech. Because abracadabra means you create what you speak. So you are a channel, you are a vessel, you are a host for the ghost. That's why you are a G-host, God's host. That's why you receive the Holy Ghost. Holy means set apart. So I'm cool with it because I'm connected with a higher source. So I have full disclosure because my mind and the mind of source, because I have done something before I spoke. I set my intent and I decided and said, I do not want to express, expose, or expand anything that's going to hurt, harm, or defraud anybody. Now, somebody will get pissed off only because I'm aggravating their demon. So everybody has a demon. A demon is just a disposition. My job and your job is for us to all have the same demon or the same disposition. That one is the one that is above heaven. That's source hope. Everybody's trying to go to heaven. That's good. So that's the goal. You start off going to, and then as you are on your way to, you realize, just like they do with all the Masons, when you join and become a Mason, they don't tell you worshiping Lucifer, the light. You can go to Lucin Trust right now. Triple W. Well, after the show. Triple W. You can go look it up. LUCISTRUST. You will call it called Lucis Publishing Company. It's in New York, New York. Look this shit up. It's on the stock exchange. It was created in 1922. You don't want to do the numerology on that. By who? Who? Foster Bailey. Who's Foster Bailey? Well, who's Alice Bailey? Well, who's Alice Crowley? Look this shit up. What is the esoteric meaning of Lucifer? Who is Alice? And who is Foster Bailey? I'm asking for a friend. So if you go to LUCIS Trust, these fools deal with trust funds. The average keeping on got a bank account. Don't know shit about no trust fund. Do you have to? Hell no. But if you go to the site, you know what it says? Let the plan of love and light work. What does Jay-Z, Kanye West, all these fools on their shirt? What do they all say? They all talk about love and light. They never, ever talk about love and life. Because Yahushua HaMashiach can that you may have life. Lucifer can that you may have love and light. Everybody wants Look at their logo. What is the logo? What is an arcane school? I'm asking for a friend. What is global? What is the great global invocation? So I provoke and invoke. Them fools, they do what is called an invocation. See, the enemy is light years ahead of all of us. He just takes what source code is meant for good. He uses it to trap light. That is an invocation. So I have a vocation that allows me to live in vacation. But they got an invocation. I've got a vocation. So an invocation is the act of invoking something or someone for assistance. Woo! I can't make that shit up. So the average churchgoer has no idea that a prayer is a spell or a form of possession. It's how you do what they call, how you self-identify with certain spirits. Now, I'm reading this straight off of LUCIS Trust. This is basically Aleister Crowley when he wrote the Devil's Bible, when he set up the church in San Francisco. And my boy made that song, Hotel California. Anybody read the lyrics to that song? I'm asking for a friend. Anybody? Go and Google lyrics to the song Hotel California. That song was sung by was it the Beatles or the Eagles? I think it was the Eagles. Hotel California. And they won a Grammy Award for the record of the year. I just pulled it up. Anybody look at the word Grammy and the word grammar and the word grammatus? I wish to the big God, the real one, that I could sit down every Alkebulan in the United States of America and just have them read where everything that you believe came from. At night when I sit and I cry at night, I don't cry because I have a problem, an issue, or a concern. All of my tears are for all my brothers and sisters. Because when my mama died sitting in that rocking chair, and she told my brothers, because remember I had ran away, I wasn't even there. My brother told me that when my mama died, she said, take care of Willie. She told my oldest brother, Glenn. My mama knew I was different. And my daughter, Sade, oldest daughter's name is Sienna. If that girl is not the female version of me, she's been kicked out of so many daycares. She gets in trouble all the time. She's not a follower. She don't take orders from nobody. Nobody understands her. We get along like two peas in a pot. You see, brothers and sisters, as I've been saying, like, all I ask you to do is think. But unfortunately, the brain has already been hijacked. So when I'm asking you to think, remember, if you go talk to a Tibetan monk, they don't do what we do. They don't allow themselves to connect to anything that's outside of their own consciousness. When they walk, they think about placing the right foot in front of it's like in the military. That's what the military do, a cadence. When you march, why do they do that? Why when we run in the military, they sing a cadence? Why, if you go through the Bible, when Joshua fought the Battle of Jericho and the walls came tumbling down, they didn't lift a hand. They didn't throw a punch. This shit is frequency, man. When I cry at night, I cry because none of my Kibilan brothers, none of my family members, nobody understands frequency. They just got letters. Nobody asks where the letters came from. Everybody got a King James Bible, but no, I don't know nobody who I've had a conversation with in my immediate family who they've sat down and said, hey, man, I wonder what the letters, who made the alphabet? Like, Why did Noah Webster, who made Noah Webster God over the English alphabet? How come we got the Webster's dictionary? Who is Webster? I don't know nobody who got the Septuagint, who got the king. Like, even when I use Blue Level Bible and eSword and Gateway, you know what I ask? The first thing that comes to my mind is, I'm looking at definitions written by who? So, who wrote the lexicon? Who wrote the Septuagint? Another Negro. Who's that Negro? Who put him in charge? I don't know nobody who thinks like me. I know some of you guys do. That's why we connect. But I don't know nobody who I don't have like who I'm going to talk to. I'm in an island by myself. When I see guys, some of you guys like say, oh yeah, doctor, you can call me. Okay, if I call you, what we're going to talk about? Because because remember, we have to be light. But then we got to transform away from the light, because the light is Lucifer, because it's knowledge. So we got to get out of knowledge and we got to get into what? Intuition. And when we get from intuition, it's a natural curiosity that cannot be taught. Curiosity killed the cat. That's why they say that. Because that's the only way that's your, do you know what the word intuition means? Do you know what intuitive means? So they know, the dominant culture know that. So they give you songs like Welcome to Hotel California. Such a lovely place. Such a lonely place. Plenty of rooms at the Hotel California. Any time of year, you can find it here. Who's it? So you got to ask yourself, then who are the Eagles? Why did the band get together? See, all of this stuff, most people do not think that way. They think methodically, like a monk. So now that's good, because the monks, they have something that most people don't have. When a monk eats, they must think about the food that's on the fork, that's going into the mouth, and every time they chew, they must be conscious of what they are doing. They're not allowed to live in a space where they're not conscious. So we have to start by being conscious of the fact that we are unconscious. What does that mean? When I became conscious that I was unconscious, I started listening to my own thoughts. And so when I have a thought that is negative, that a thought comes into my head that be like, damn, man, I don't know how we're going to pay this bill. Bam, I grab that thought. And I say, yeah, I know how I'm going to pay this bill. So all I do is police my own thoughts every day. That's where it starts at. I don't care what you are. I don't care where you are. Nobody cares where you are. I'm only interested in where you're going. I'm only concerned in how come you do not have a specific point of all union. So the dominant culture, that they have what is called cosmic consciousness. Black people, we don't have that, because we have religion. We don't have cosmic consciousness, meaning that we don't have a purpose and a plan and an intelligent design that's inherent. We don't have that. I know no black man, no black woman that has a purpose, or let me phrase it, they have a plan that's based upon a purpose that comes from their intelligent design. I've never met a black man or a black woman that can tell me, my numbers don't control me. What does that mean? Numbers are tools to mold matter. You are not your numbers. You use your numbers. Damn, I wish y'all could understand. And I know you can. This is just new. Like, it was new to me. What does that mean? When I give you your life path number, that's a tool. Like Jesus is a tool. Christ is a tool. Do you guys know that picture that I sent you? Christ, everywhere they nailed him on the cross, when they pierced him in the side, those are all biological points Look at the image that I sent you guys. Those are nadis, N-A-D-I-S lines. Those are points that stop your energy from flowing. So when they nailed him in his wrist, not in his hands, because out of your hands back, remember the, like when you make a fireball, or remember Doctor Strange, where your energy to be able to do all that stuff is blocked. That's what acupuncture points are all about. So every place where Christ was crucified physically is the place where your energy is blocked spiritually. That's the shit that we're going to be talking about at the People Development Round Center. And we're going to be doing it at my house. We're going to do it in Dallas. We can either meet somewhere. I don't care. But what Brother David talked about, which is the only thing I was waiting for, was someone to step up. I can tell you guys this, but it's better if someone volunteers because you're already in the space. So Brother David, again, has been doing this in corporate America for 30-plus years. And like he said in the text. And he volunteered. I didn't ask him. So that lets me know, because that's what I put out in the ether. So I don't ask people because then people do things because they know there's a need. And don't ever volunteer for something because you see somebody needs to do it. That's not your purpose. Because see, remember, only black people do that. White people don't do that. White people don't volunteer shit just because they don't do that. White people, they got an intelligent design. And it's inherent. It's not something that they learn. And they take that design and they create a plan that's based upon their purpose. Knowingly or unknowingly. So that's what we're doing. Or that's what I'm doing. But why? Because that's how you align with the reality of what is called the cosmic divine blueprint. I mean, everybody has to align with what, the Bible, they call it the Galactic Federation of the Golden Dawn and all this warm, fuzzy stuff. You can name it whatever. We're not here to debate over what we call it or the name of it. The point is that you do it. See, you must start the process of what is called vibrational cellular upregulation. That means that you are establishing a vibration that makes your cells go up, and then they regulate. Right now, all of your points, your primary meridian lines, they have been disconnected. So one of the points of the conference is what Brother David said, and that is, I'm scaling. And where I'm going, I want everybody to go with me. Because either we grow together or we have to disconnect. That is okay too. Because, everybody can't, I'm going to use the word, grow. Even though we would like to take everybody with us, we can't. And that image that I sent you guys is called, if you look at the very, very top, it says crystal seals grid. So every point where Jesus was nailed or pierced, those are points where your meridian lines inside of your body are blocked. Those are the points of crucifixion. Your job is to unlock your energy points so that energy can flow, so that way you can glow. That is what is called original thought vibration. So your first step is to establish what is called individual attention or singularity point of focus. We all must establish the singularity or a single point of focus. Then we all come together, and then we all have to establish the same state of focus, or what some people call being. Remember, it's very important to know the difference between point of view and point of focus. Poor people have a point of view. Rich people have a point of focus. So the whole point of focus of the People Development Center is for us to establish the same focus based upon the cosmic, universal, galactic, planetary, what's the next word I'm looking for? Cosmic, galactic, universal, planetary consciousness. I was going to say direction, but consciousness. What does that mean? That just simply means that there's an eternal life, perpetual motion. Because remember, we already broke down that the Bible told us in Hebrews 7:15 and Hebrews 7:23 that we're supposed to have endless life based upon the melanated chi of the Z deck. So there's a deck that brings about the Z, chi, male. So deck, Z, chi, male. Doctrine of electricity and magnetism to control the melanin. So that's what we hear. That is our singleness. That is the absolute vibrational agreement. We've got to establish an absolute vibrational agreement. So one of the purposes of the People Development Center roundtable meeting that will be taking place sometime in March, April, May, we'll all get together. And again, this is just for the members of the People Development Center, paid members of the People Development Center, I should also state, that are part of, we are Mars 3, we're breaking it down later on tonight. Now, anybody's welcome to come, but for anybody that's not a member of the People Development Center, they won't be speaking, and they got to pay. They just kind of come in to observe, which is okay. We don't mind having people come in to learn. But we're here to change, to come together as individual cells inside of the same body. And we're just acknowledging that what emotion would you feel if? That's what we're going to answer. That's the point. What is the purpose? The purpose is what emotion would you feel if, let's say, wealth. Let's say the wealth goal is you want to make $1 million a year. Okay? Can you answer what emotion, how would you be being, what would you be doing, and what would you be having? Remember, you have to write this down. Now, when I say write it down, I don't really necessarily mean you can write it down physically, but can you picture it mentally? So write it down means to write. But write it down means to write it down. Damn. Write it down means to R-I-T. So what emotion would you feel if you had $1 million, you was generating $1 million a year? What emotion would you feel if every organ in your body functioned according to its purpose when you was 120? What if you was 120 and you looked like you was 40? What emotion would you feel? What emotion would you feel if you was all-knowing? If you had access to the Aztec records, if you had access to the halls of Amenti, what emotion would you feel if you had a thought and bam, the answer appeared in your brain? What emotion would you feel if you was all-knowing? What emotion would you feel if you could relate to the homeless man and you could relate to the president of the UN? You can relate to the president of Zimbabwe. You can relate to the president of the European Union. What emotion would you feel if nobody could get underneath your fin and punk you? Meaning, what emotion would you feel if somebody could call you out your name, disrespect you, and you would say, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do? What emotion would you feel if you had that level of control of your own emotions? How would you feel? Whatever the answer to those questions is, those are the answers that you should have written down on a piece of paper, or I highly recommend that you have them, that you perform the right in your head every day. That's what I do. So every day in my brain, I make sure that there is a procedure, that there is a form, that there is a system, that there is a liturgy, that there is a ceremony, that there is a customary observance, that there is some type of a usage, that there is some type of a rutus, R-U-T-U-S, R-I-T, I think I said A, R-I-T. So your right is your rifle. Somebody should write that down. So the key to success is you got to be a rifle. Now, a rifle is a difference between a Christian and a Christian. Do you know the word the word Christian is not in the English dictionary? It's not in the dictionary. So a Christian has crystalline DNA. A Christian has carbon. Now remember, before Christians, they were called Christians. Kind of like, Christians or Crest toothpaste. If you Google that word, even when you Google it, it doesn't come up. You should ask yourself why. CHR, Christian, CHR, Google automatically changed the word to Christian. Automatically. You cannot find no information on that word. Don't believe me, just Google it. Just Google what is a Christian. It's like the word Crest toothpaste. Or you can spell it with the R or without, with the H or without the H. If you move the H, you get really close to the word Cretan. So the root word Cretan, C-R-E-T-I-N, no S. But there's a French word, crest, but it doesn't have the H. It's C-R-E-S-T-I-N, which means Christian, which means Cretan. And the word Cretan means a human being or brute. And it means an inhabitant of Crete. So like it talks about in Titus, where we get the word Cretan. And in the Bible it says, dwarf, idiot from Crete. And so that's why they got the word Cretan. Well, we get the English word Christian or Cretan, but it's not Christian. You cannot find anything on the internet on that word. So you should be asking yourself, how did I even find that word? You see, brothers, the dominant culture is they're dominant. But the reason that they're dominant is because they write the books and they are the gatekeepers of the information. So if you don't have access to the information, you can never find the true meaning of the terms, the frequencies, the waves, the verbs, the vibrations. One of the things that I do is a lot of the stuff that you can't find for some reason or another, and excuse me. Thank you. Another reason you can't find it in words, but you can always find it in symbols. So a lot of my research, I'm able to find a lot of more information because I would type in the word and then I would click on images. And because everything was originally written in a pictogram. And when you start looking at pictograms, bam, a lot of the occult meaning or some of it, it'll take you to another level. And then the other thing that I do is I use DuckDuckGo, I use Dogpile, I used to get into the dark web, but you catch a lot of computer viruses like that by going onto the dark web. So you really have to be like a linguistical assassin. You got to be very like almost like a linguistical detective to find out a lot of this stuff. That's why a lot of people don't know about it. And that's when people ask me, hey, Johnny, man, why you charge so much money for your stuff, brother? Should get this knowledge. It's free, brother. Yeah, that shit's free if you can find it. So you pay me for what I can find. Because I guarantee you what I know you can't find on the internet. Because where I found it at, usually was in some book that's not on the internet, that has been decommissioned by the dominant culture. Because they ain't stupid. They want to control the information that you have access to. So that's the stuff that we're doing at the People Development Center. I'm giving you access to information that you can, because if you can just find it on the internet, shit, there's no reason to pay me. That's why if it's on the internet and it's freely available on the internet, no problem. But I got a whole library of stuff. I tell you guys one book that I got a long time ago that I found at a dominant culture estate sale. And it was an old book. It got into talking about the mysteries of the Technogrammata. That helped me out tremendously. How did I find it? Like I tell you guys, like all the time, the Huak, the Numa, that's what I said. If you set your intention, the universe will lead you and guide you into all truth. So, in conclusion, let me make sure you understand. Number one, we're starting the planning stages. We'll probably do a separate meeting in the next week or two just with the members of the People Development Center to kind of, and I'll probably have Brother David help facilitate that meeting as far as we need to pinpoint a location, a specific location. Again, my daughter and I have the location in Flower Mound that's been up for 2 years, and we're just about finishing the location in McKinney, Texas, which is the second location for DDA, and we're looking at and thinking about opening a third location here in San Antonio, which is closer to me and that I could oversee. And then, again, we'll be having a grand opening, a housewarming party at the new house, which all you guys will be invited. And I don't know if you guys want to fly down, but I'm thinking about instead of just doing the housewarming party, actually doing the roundtable meeting for the People Development Center members at that same time here in San Antonio, Texas, versus Dallas, Texas. But I know Dallas may be easier to fly in and out of, which is a whole other thing. We need to kind of also take that into consideration. What states are a little bit more friendly? Because I know my son just came back from flying into LAX, and it was a lot of red tape, and the whole proof of vaccination or proof of a negative COVID test before you could exit, or you got to go quarantine. So we need to take that into consideration as well. And so depending on how the culture goes within the next, because we're planning this out, we're looking at a good, we need to give people time to put their pennies aside and all that good stuff. So we don't want to do it too early. So we're looking at, probably early summertime. I'm thinking, May or June. That way give everybody time to plan. So that way we want everybody, especially everybody that's part of the People Development Center. And thankfully it is, which I kind of thought, it is a small group. For the people that, all of the paid members of the People Development Center, you guys know who you are. And I invite people to listen in to different shows and all that stuff that are not members. So that way they can see that they should be a member. And if they choose not to go, then that's okay. That's the whole point. The whole point is, the Ruach and Numa, a.k.a., because remember, you can have anything you want, whether it's yours or not. That's the whole point of the class. What's the point of the class today? The point of the class today is, I did a series called The Metaphysics of the New Clay. In that series of the Metaphysics of the New Clay, I talked about something that I'll be talking about later on tonight, what the dominant culture called 12 round 1. That's why we got the 13. That's why most major hotels do not have a 13th floor. Why? Friday the 13th. But it's actually Friday the 13th is a good thing. The whole universe is based, this three-dimensional reality is based upon 1 plus 2 equals 3, which is 12. 12 around 1. That's why Jesus was 1, but he had 12 disciples. That is three-dimensional. So three-dimensional physical reality is nothing more than what is called a biogenetic experiment of linear time. That just simply means that when you experience an emotion, you mark a specific place in a cycle, which creates a loop that follows a pattern based upon the clock, based upon the calendar, and based upon your character that's resulting from the contract that brings about the contradiction. So that way they can establish control. So those are the 7 dark seas that must be replaced with the 7 light seas of charity, clarity, consciousness, competence, certainty, confidence, chemistry, which ends up in an established currency. So all of this, your clock, your calendar, your contract, your contradictions, your control, your con, swindle, troll, demon, chemistry manipulates and creates a citizen. Those are the negative C's. That must be replaced with the positives. So there's 7 negative C's and there's 7 positive C's. So your job is to get out of this cosmic contradicting contract that you unknowingly have created with a celestial being. Because we are all nothing but, you're a slave, as the Bible says. You're a slave to either righteousness or sin. Those are the 12 spiraling cones. Cones are always depicted as horns, but the cones are tones. Consciousness is a cone that brings about a connection to a geometric. Geometric simply means geometry, math, music, and language. That is your vibrational address. We started the show off by saying everybody has a vibrational address. I'm begging you to change your address. Right now, you're vibrating on a level of a certain amount of wealth. I'm begging you to change it. Go higher. You're on a certain amount of health. I'm begging you. Get your guard up. You're on a certain amount of wisdom. Get your cell antenna up. You're vibrating with a certain amount of ability to establish a specific point of view. I'm begging you. Get rid of your point of view and exchange it for a point of focus, discipline, and order. Your wealth vibrational set point can be changed. You have a biological set point. It can be changed. You got a spiritual set point. It can be changed. You got a wisdom set point. It can be changed. You got a relationship set point. You can only relate to certain people. You black, you like people. You like black people. You Spanish, you like Spanish people. You white, you like. Everybody like people who like them, who look like them. You like to hang around with people who you got shit in common with. So your job is to increase that commonality. That sounds great, God. That sounds great. Now, how do you do that? You do that by bringing every thought into captivity to see if it is the vibrational point that you want to manifest. Just like the Bible says. Okay, Doc, that sounds great. How do you do that? When you're going around, you just make sure that you become conscious. Okay, how do you do that? Ask yourself at least once an hour, how am I feeling? That's all you got to do. All you got to do is every hour, you sit at home watching TV, and you're just chilling. Like right now, I ask myself, okay, how do I feel? How am I feeling? Well, I feel pretty good. I don't feel sad. I don't feel angry. I don't feel nervous. I don't feel anxious. I don't feel depressed. But I don't feel like super magnanimous. So then I ask myself, okay, well, how come you don't feel super magnanimous? Well, the reason I don't feel super magnanimous is because of the topic we're talking about today. Okay, well, what is it about this topic? Well, this topic is the voice of God topic. This topic is how the dominant culture is putting a particular voice in your head that brings about hyper-gain control. This topic is about mind hacking. This topic is about how the dominant culture has established the primary resonance, even though you think you did. This topic is a topic I've been dealing with since 13. This topic is the box that I fought damn near to my own death to get out. This is the smoking gun. Because very few people are conscious of the fact that they're unconscious. And I know that for every 100 people that I talk to, one will be able to examine their own thinking. This is the topic that says that everybody will automatically resort back to defending their belief instead of examining it. This is the one topic I don't like talking about. Because everybody is under a certain amount of mind control. Even when you think, if I think that I am God's gift to the planet, then I am self-deluded. So I got to examine where at in my thinking do I have a flaw. One of the flaws that I have is sometimes I become too comical or humorous. That comes across as belittling to some people. One of my flaws is I care too much. Another flaw is I put off a lot of academic people because I'm one of them, and I know that when you become and you study a lot of information, it does make you have a sense of superiority. So the more you know, you get a little ego. That feeds your ego. It gives you, like in the book of Ecclesiastics, and it gives you a hardy spirit. So I know when I could be making a lot more money if I do what they tell me. The dominant culture always tell me, for you to be a doctor, you don't talk like one. What they're telling me is that you ain't using big enough words, as if I don't have access to those words. What they're telling me is you don't lead with your academic pedigree. You don't talk enough about your degree. You don't talk enough about high-end Caucasian-friendly stuff. Therefore, you can't be a part of the club. And it's very important that you now examine you the way I examine me. So I'm not willing to sell, I'm going to use the word, my soul for some extra dollars, because that means I have to become snooty, hardy, educated. I'm just a country boy from Texas who just happen to have access to some information. So I ain't better than nobody else, so I'm not going to carry myself like that, because I'm actually for the underdog. I'm actually for what they call the average man. I'm for the guy who grew up just like me. So I'm not going to do like most black folks. They can make a little money, they move out of the hood, and then they act like they forget that they came from the hood. That's not me. So if it costs me a couple of pennies, I'm cool with it. Why? I'd rather be authentic than have money and be fake. Because I got money. But to have real money, you have to align your mind with that design. I'm not willing to do that. So I know the vibrational address. I've been to the house. They gave me a key, but they say in order for you to access this frequency, you got to let go of the old frequency. So I thought about it, and I was like, all my friends and family, even though we don't agree upon everything, that's okay. Everybody got a point of view. Can we all just get the same point of focus? What's the point of focus? Can we help everybody at least be able to pay their light bill on time, at least have money left over after they pay their bills? Can we at least help everybody see that, okay, diabetes is not a disease. It's just a condition of where you got too much sugar in your blood. You don't need to take no medication. You just need to take the sugar out your blood. Can we establish a point of view that overrides, or should I say, point of focus that overrides the point of view? Meaning that let's focus on facts instead of view. I can go out of my window and I got a view. My view may be better than yours. Why? I'm at the Marriott downtown that's freaking 90 floors high. So yes, my point of view is way up there, so I can see the whole city. Well, you down on Main Street in downtown San Antonio, your view is blocked by all the damn businesses and buildings. All you see is a bunch of cars because you downtown street level. I'm in the freaking penthouse. So yes, we got a different point of view. But does that give me more knowledge? No. Just give me a different perception. So let's all agree we all got different perceptions. You may believe that the white man is God. Somebody else may believe that the Native American is God. Somebody else may believe that the black man is God. Okay, that's all views. We got different point of view. Okay, let's all keep our point of view. What are we focusing on? Can we all sit down and talk? Come up with something that we all want to focus on as a group, accomplish it, and then let's establish something else to focus on. Accomplish it, let's establish. So what is the first thing that we want to accomplish? Is the first thing that we want to accomplish is to have everybody set up their own profitable center, have everybody have a profitable, money producing, what I call a internet vending machine. I think we should start there. Why? Because at the end of the day, everybody needs to be able to generate income with or without the internet. That's a good place to start. But you kind of need to be around to spend the money that's coming from your internet vending machine. So your wealth is your health. Ain't gonna do you no good to have an internet vending machine if you can go over there, take the money out of your vending machine because of the fact that you can't walk. So maybe we should start with the health component. Some would say, well, maybe we should start with the wisdom component. Because the reason that the health is bad because the mind ain't right. Well, maybe we can start with the relationship. Because the mind ain't right because you're married to somebody who got you stressed. So that's what we should start talking about where we want to start. That is the whole point of the round table meeting where everybody will have the platform to be able to express, expose, and expand with source code placed on their agenda. And with the fellowship at the same time. So brothers and sisters, remember, everything starts with getting your mind in line with your God-given design. And the way that you do that is to write down every thought that is standing in your way from being wealthy, healthy, wise, and in a great relationship. When you write down the thoughts that's standing in your way, you become conscious of it. The devil does not like to be seen. The mere fact that you are aware that every time you get ready to start working on your book, you come up with an excuse why you can't, write that shit down. If you get ready to work out, and every time you get ready to work out, you get busy, write that shit down. When you get ready to call somebody in your family and just say, hey, man, I'm just calling, I don't want to borrow no money, I don't want to give you money, I'm just calling you to tell you I love you. But every time you get ready to do that, something comes up, write that down. Write down what is standing in your way of being wealthy, healthy, wisdom, and in a great relationship. Watch how fast it disappears. When you write it down, you're performing a right, R-I-T-E. That corrects you. That makes you right, R-I-G-H-T. So write, W-R-I-T-E. That's why I got 300 books. Because I'm doing my own therapy on myself. Anybody want to get rid of needing a therapist? Become your own therapist. Psychoanalyze yourself. How? Write down what your coping mechanism is. The fact that you identify it destroys it. And then after you do that, you write down every thought that makes you feel wealthy, healthy, wisdom. And the fact of writing down the thing that makes you feel magnanimous, you manifest it. That's all I do. And you start talking it before you get it. Because everybody's going to tell you, oh, don't say it out loud, brother. The devil going to steal it. Tell a Christian you're going to be a millionaire. They're going to tell you, they're going to, first of all, they'll tell you, no, you're not. Second, they're going to tell you, and even if you were, how are you going to do it? And then when you tell somebody your plan, everybody will tell you, don't do that. Why? They believe the devil is more powerful than God. That's how you know they got the wrong God. If you got the biggest gun in the fight, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do, and I'm going to dare you to stop me. Try if you want to, bro. I got something for you, homie. Okay, y'all know I'm just playing. So, brothers and my beautiful, God-fearing, educating sisters, it's time for all of us, myself included, it's time for us to do something that we have never done. What is that? It's time for us to get our guard up. Everybody get your guard up. Love you, appreciate you. We'll see y'all later on tonight. Guess what? Ain't nothing y'all can do about it. Let's get it. And also, text me for the location ideals for the round table meeting.
I'm feeling these pains in the chain. I gotta realize it's real life now. I want the God. Had to realize it's real life now. I want the God. Now everybody's gonna figure out how I shoot the God. I don't know what y'all talking about. I ain't picking shots again. Yin yang is the same game. We go up and down the head. Hold on, I could just work together just to bring us out of mess. Biggest how we must be so we can see ourselves out. Yeah, I'm trying to tell you this ain't nothing you should worry about. If you so negative with God, then you should worry it out. Why take a stand at it when you let your courage out? Why take a stand at it when you let your courage out? Let's make me feel it. We ain't even got to burst it out. Like getting vintage, he ain't even have to burn it out. I got these dividends that dividends can't buy it all. I got these dividends that dividends can't buy it all. I'm about to shift again, no planning and no night at all. Ain't all my frenemies and enemies, invite them all.
All right, y'all. Love you, appreciate you. We see you guys later on. God bless.
I'm tired of feeling these pains, letting the train